My name is Jessica Mitchell. I'm 32 years old. And at my family's 50th reunion last Saturday, my parents stood in front of 87 relatives and told everyone I was a disappointment who'd wasted every opportunity they'd given me. My father, Robert. We tried our best with Jessica, paid for her college, helped with living expenses, but some kids just don't have what it takes to succeed. My mother, Linda. We've accepted that Jessica will always struggle. At least our other children made something of themselves. The room went quiet. People looked at me with pity. My siblings smirked. My aunts and uncles nodded sympathetically at my parents' burden. Then the reunion organizer, my cousin Marcus, handed me the microphone for my turn to speak. I stood up, walked to the front, looked at my parents, and said, "Thank you for that introduction. Now let me tell everyone the truth." I pulled out my phone, connected it to the projector, and showed them everything. The bank statements proving my parents had stolen my college fund and never paid for my education. The business registration showing the family business they took credit for. I'd founded it. They'd forced me out after it became profitable. The property deed showing the house they claimed they'd helped me buy, I'd purchased it entirely with my own money. They'd contributed nothing. Before I tell you about the moment my father realized I had documentation of every lie he'd told for 15 years, how my siblings' faces changed when they learned their success was built on my stolen work, and what happened when 87 relatives discovered the child my parents publicly humiliated was actually the most successful person in the room. Tell me this. What time is it where you are, and where are you watching from? Because this story about narratives is about to show you what happens when the person everyone underestimated controls the microphone. Let me take you back to the beginning, because the story of how my parents crafted a false narrative about my life starts when I was 18 years old. I grew up in suburban Chicago, middle-class family. My father, Robert, was an insurance salesman. My mother, Linda, was an administrative assistant. I have two siblings, older brother Derek, 35, and younger sister Cassie, 28. From childhood, there was a clear hierarchy. Derek was the golden child. Athletic, charismatic, could do no wrong, Cassie was the princess. Pretty, social, needed protection and support. I was the problem child. Quiet, bookish, interested in computers and business instead of sports and parties. My parents never quite knew what to do with me. When I was 17, I started a small web design business from my bedroom. Built websites for local businesses, made $800 a month by senior year of high school. My father's reaction: "That's cute, but you need a real job with benefits, security. Stop wasting time on computers." I applied to colleges, got accepted to Northwestern University for computer science and business. Excited, prestigious school, great program, the tuition, $52,000 a year. Total 4-year cost, approximately $208,000. My parents sat me down senior year. "We've saved for college. We have about $85,000 for you. Between that, some loans, and working part-time, you can make it work." I was grateful. $85,000 was substantial. I'd take out loans for the rest, except there was no $85,000. The college fund lie, 2010-2014. I started at Northwestern in fall 2010. Freshman year, tuition bill came, $52,000. I asked my parents about the college fund. "When will the money transfer?" "My father will handle it directly with the school. Don't worry about it." Weeks passed. The bursar's office contacted me. "Your account has an outstanding balance of $52,000. Payment is overdue." I called my parents. "The school says tuition hasn't been paid." "My father, there's been a delay with the fund transfer. We're working on it. In the meantime, take out a student loan for this semester. We'll reimburse you later." I took out $26,000 in loans, one semester's worth. Assumed the college fund would cover second semester. Second semester came, same story. "The transfer is delayed, take out another loan." "We'll fix this." I took out another $26,000 in loans. Freshman year total, $52,000 in student loans, $0 from my parents. This pattern continued for 4 years. Each semester, "The money is coming, just take out loans temporarily." We'll pay you back. I graduated in 2014 with $208,000 in student loan debt. The week after graduation, I asked my father, "When are you reimbursing me for the loans? You said the college fund would cover tuition." He looked uncomfortable. "Jessica, we need to talk, the college fund." There were some investment losses, the 2008 financial crisis. The money isn't there anymore. How much is left? Nothing, it's gone, I'm sorry. But you got your degree, that's what matters. I was devastated. $208,000 in debt. My parents had contributed nothing. But it was worse than that. Years later, I discovered the truth. There had never been a college fund. My parents had saved $0 for my college. The $85,000 they'd mentioned, a complete lie. They'd planned from the beginning for me to take out loans for everything. Meanwhile, Derek had gone to community college. Total cost, $18,000 over 2 years. My parents paid every penny. Cassie went to a state school. Total cost, $76,000 over 4 years. My parents paid every penny. Total spent on my siblings' education, $94,000. Total spent on mine, $0. When I confronted them years later, my father said, "Derek and Cassie needed help. You were always more independent, more capable. We knew you could handle loans, they couldn't. So my capability was punished. My siblings' dependency was rewarded." The business they stole, 2014-2018. After graduation, I had $208,000 in student loan debt and a computer science degree. I got a job as a junior developer at a tech company. Salary, $58,000 a year. After taxes and aggressive loan payments, $1,800 a month, I was barely surviving. But I kept my web design business running on the side. Nights and weekends, building websites, making an extra $1,500 a month. By 2016, the side business was growing. I was making $3,000 a month extra, more than half my day job salary. I incorporated it. Mitchell Digital Solutions, just me. Building websites and doing digital marketing for small businesses. My parents' reaction, "That's nice, honey, a good little hobby." By 2017, Mitchell Digital Solutions was making $8,000 a month. I quit my day job, went full-time on my business. Revenue year 1, 2017, $127,000. Profit after expenses, $89,000. I was doing well, really well, paying down my student loans aggressively. My father noticed, started asking questions. "How much are you making with this computer thing?" "About $90,000 in profit this year." "Really, that's good money." "Yeah. I'm paying off loans fast." 2 weeks later, my father came to me with a proposal. "Your mother and I have been thinking, this business of yours has real potential, but you're missing opportunities. You need help with business development, sales, strategy. I'm doing okay on my own. You could do better. What if we partnered up, made it a family business? I'd handle sales and client relationships. You'd handle the technical work. We'd split profits." "Split how?" 60-40. You get 60%, I get 40%. Fair compensation for bringing in bigger clients and managing growth. I was skeptical, but my father was persuasive, and part of me wanted her approval, her recognition. I agreed. Worst decision of my life. We restructured the company. Mitchell Family Digital Solutions. I remained majority owner, 60%. My father got 40% equity in exchange for business development. Year 1 of partnership, 2018, revenue exploded to $340,000. My father was good at sales, really good. Profit, $267,000. My share, 60%, $160,200. Her share, 40%, $106,800. I was thrilled, making great money, paying off loans, building wealth, but my father wasn't satisfied with 40%. Over the next year, she slowly pushed me out of client relationships, started making decisions without me, hired her friends as contractors. In 2019, she called a shareholders meeting. "Jessica, we need to restructure. The business has grown beyond your capabilities. I'm bringing in professional management. We're bringing Derek on board to handle operations." Derek, she has no experience in this industry. She's family. We trust family. Here's the proposal. We equalize ownership. You, me, and Derek each get 33.3% democratic decision-making. That reduces me from 60% to 33% in a company I founded, that I built before you were involved. The company has grown because of me, my sales, my relationships. You're being selfish. This is family. We do what's best for family. I refused. My father threatened to quit. If you won't restructure, I'm walking away, taking my clients with me. Let's see how you do without me. I called her bluff. Go ahead. They're clients of the company, not your personal clients. They have contracts. What I didn't know, she'd been creating side contracts with clients, forming a separate entity, Mitchell Family Consulting, planning to poach all the clients. Within 3 months, 80% of our clients left Mitchell Family Digital Solutions and went to Mitchell Family Consulting. Revenue dropped from $340,000 to $68,000 annually. My father and Derek ran Mitchell Family Consulting. They never offered me a position. Never acknowledged it was built on my work, my reputation, my initial client relationships. I had to shut down Mitchell Family Digital Solutions in 2020. Bankrupt. The company I'd founded that my father had destroyed. The house they took credit for 2019. In early 2019, before my father pushed me out of the business, I bought a house, a small 3-bedroom in a good neighborhood. Purchase price, $285,000. Down payment, 20%, $57,000. Mortgage, $228,000. Every penny of that down payment came from my business earnings. My savings, my work. My parents contributed $0, but at family gatherings, they told a different story. We helped Jessica buy a house, contributed to the down payment. It's important to help your kids get started. People would congratulate them. That's so generous. I'd correct them. Actually, Mom and Dad didn't contribute anything. I saved the down payment myself. My mother would laugh. Oh, Jessica, don't be modest, we helped. Not as much as we'd have liked, but we helped. I'd protest. She'd change the subject. This happened at every family event for 5 years. My parents took credit for a house they'd never contributed a dollar toward. The narrative, 2014-2024. Over 10 years, my parents crafted a consistent narrative about me. We paid for Jessica's college. Lie. I took $208,000 in loans, they paid $0. We helped Jessica buy a house. Lie. I saved every penny myself. We gave Jessica opportunities in the family business. Half-truth. They pushed me out and stole the business I founded. Jessica struggles to find direction. Lie. I was succeeding despite their interference. Jessica never appreciated what we did. Truth inversion. I appreciated help I never received. Meanwhile, the narrative about my siblings. Derek is doing so well at the family business, the business I founded that they stole. We're so proud of Cassie's master's degree, that they paid for while I got $208,000 in debt. The family believed my parents' version. Why wouldn't they? Parents don't usually lie about their own children. At family gatherings, I'd try to correct the record. My parents would dismiss me. Jessica's exaggerating. Kids never remember things accurately. Eventually, I stopped trying, stopped going to family events. Went low contact with my parents and siblings. What I did instead, 2020-2024. After my father destroyed my first business, I started over. New company, J. Mitchell Consulting. Just me, no partners, no family. I specialized in digital transformation for mid-size companies, helping traditional businesses modernize their tech and operations. Year 1, 2020, revenue $143,000, profit $98,000. Year 2, 2021, revenue $287,000, profit $201,000. Year 3, 2022, revenue $453,000, profit $329,000. Year 4, 2023, revenue $641,000, profit $487,000. Year 5, 2024, projected, revenue $890,000, profit $680,000. I reinvested profits, hired 2 employees, expanded service offerings. By 2024, I was making more money than my father had ever made in her life. But I told my family none of this. Let them think I was struggling. Let them believe their narrative. Meanwhile, paid off all $208,000 in student loans, finished in 2022. Paid off my mortgage, 2023. Own my house free and clear, $285,000, now worth $340,000. Have $450,000 in investment accounts. Have $180,000 in cash savings. Own my business, worth approximately $1.2 million if sold. Total net worth, approximately $2.17 million. At age 32, built entirely by myself, despite my parents, without their help, while letting them tell everyone I was a failure. The family reunion, November 2024. The Mitchell family holds a reunion every 10 years. Last one was 2014, right after I graduated college. This year, 2024, was the 50th anniversary reunion. Huge event. Rented a hotel ballroom. 87 relatives. I almost didn't go. I'd been low contact with my parents for 4 years. Hadn't seen most extended family since 2019. But my cousin Marcus, the organizer, called me personally. Jessica, please come. I know things are complicated with your parents, but this is a big milestone. It would mean a lot to have you there. I don't know, Marcus, it's awkward. I'll make sure you're seated with the cousins, not your parents. And there's a program, everyone's invited to share a quick update about their life. 2 minutes each, you should come, tell people what you've been up to. A chance to speak, to tell my story, to 87 relatives who'd only heard my parents' version. I accepted. The reunion was November 23, 2024. Saturday evening, hotel ballroom, formal event. I arrived alone, wore a nice suit, brought my laptop and a USB drive with documents. The evening started with cocktails and mingling. I stayed with my cousins, avoided my parents and siblings. My Aunt Helen approached me. Jessica. I haven't seen you in years. How are you doing? I'm doing well, thanks. Still doing the computer thing? Yeah, still in tech consulting. That's nice. Your parents mentioned you've had some struggles. I'm glad you're hanging in there. What struggles did they mention? Oh, you know. Just that you've been finding your footing. It takes some people longer to establish themselves. Nothing to be ashamed of. I smiled. Right, thanks for understanding. She patted my arm sympathetically and walked away. This happened repeatedly, relatives approaching with pity, telling me it was okay, that I was still figuring things out. I was 32, making $680,000 profit annually. Owned a house free and clear, had over $2 million in net worth, and my family thought I was struggling. Dinner was served, everyone seated at assigned tables. My parents sat at the head family table with my grandparents, my siblings, and a few senior relatives. I sat with cousins, all professionals in their 30s. Lawyers, doctors, engineers, teachers. We made small talk. They were nice, but there was an undertone of pity. My cousin Sarah, it's really brave of you to come tonight. I know your parents are disappointed, but you shouldn't let that stop you from being part of the family. Disappointed about what? Just, that things haven't worked out the way they'd hoped. But we all have different paths. I changed the subject. After dinner, the program began. Marcus, as organizer, took the microphone. Welcome everyone to the 50th Mitchell family reunion. We're so grateful to have 87 family members here, tonight celebrating our heritage and our connections. Applause. As part of tonight's program, we'd like to invite family members to share brief updates. 2 minutes each. We'll start with our patriarch Robert Mitchell and her immediate family, then work through the generations. My stomach dropped. I was going to have to listen to my parents speak about me, in front of everyone. My father Robert stood up, took the microphone. Thank you all for being here. Linda and I are so proud of this family. We've been blessed with 3 children, Derek, Cassie, and Jessica. She paused, looked at Derek. Derek has taken over the family business, Mitchell Family Consulting. She's grown it beyond what I ever imagined. We're so proud of her. Applause. Derek stood and waved, beaming. My father continued. Cassie just completed her master's degree in education. She's teaching at a prestigious private school. Another success we're proud of. Applause. Cassie smiled. My mother dabbed her eyes with a tissue, then my father's tone changed. Became somber, and then there's Jessica. The room got quiet. Linda and I have tried our best with Jessica. We paid for an expensive college education. Northwestern University, we helped with living expenses. Gave opportunities in our family business. Helped with a house down payment. I gripped my fork, every word a lie. But sometimes, despite your best efforts as a parent, a child just doesn't have what it takes to succeed. Jessica has struggled to find direction, hasn't been able to establish a career. We've accepted that some children need more time to mature. We're hopeful Jessica will eventually find a path. People looked at me with pity. My mother nodded sadly. My siblings looked sympathetic. My father continued. The important thing is, we love all our children. Even when they disappoint us. Even when they don't live up to potential. We've made peace with Jessica's limitations. And we hope the family can support Jessica with understanding and patience. She handed the microphone back to Marcus. Sat down. My mother squeezed her hand supportively. People murmured sympathetically, looked at me with sad smiles. I sat there, humiliated, publicly declared a failure and a disappointment, in front of 87 relatives. Marcus spoke into the microphone. Thank you, Robert. Now we'd like to hear from the next generation. Derek, would you like to say a few words? Derek stood, took the microphone. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, I've been fortunate to work in the family business. Mitchell Family Consulting is doing great. We've expanded into new markets, hired more staff. We're projecting $800,000 in revenue this year. Applause, impressed murmurs. I couldn't have done it without Dad's guidance and the foundation she built. It's an honor to carry on the Mitchell business legacy. More applause. She handed the microphone to Cassie. Cassie spoke about her master's degree, her teaching position, her wedding next summer. Then Marcus spoke. Now we'd like to hear from our cousin's generation. Jessica, would you like to share an update? Everyone looked at me with pity, expecting me to fumble through an awkward update about my struggles. I stood up, walked to the front, took the microphone. My father watched with a patronizing smile, expecting me to embarrass myself further. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the projector screen behind me. Thank you, Marcus. Yes, I'd like to share an update, and I'd like to correct some misunderstandings about my life. I looked at my father. Dad, you said you paid for my college education at Northwestern. That's interesting. Because I have documentation that tells a different story. I pulled up my first slide, a bank statement from 2010. This is my student loan statement from freshman year, $52,000 borrowed, 0 from my parents. This is a pattern that continued for 4 years. Next slide, total loan summary. Total borrowed for undergraduate education, $208,000. Total received from my parents, $0. The room gasped. My father went pale. You told everyone you paid for my education, but you didn't pay a single dollar. In fact, I have emails where you explicitly told me to take out loans and you'd reimburse me later. You never did. I showed the emails, projected on the screen. My father's words, take out loans for this semester, we'll settle up later. Later never came. You lied to me, and you've been lying to this family for 10 years. My mother stood up. Jessica, this isn't appropriate. Sit down, Mom, I'm not finished. I turned to Derek. Derek, you're proud of Mitchell Family Consulting. Revenue $800,000. Impressive. But let me tell you where that business came from. Next slide, business registration documents. In 2014, I founded a company called Mitchell Digital Solutions. Just me. I built it from nothing to $127,000 in revenue the first year. Next slide, partnership agreement. In 2018, Dad convinced me to bring her on as a partner. 60-40 split. She'd handle sales. We grew to $340,000 in revenue. Next slide, text messages. Then Dad and Derek tried to force me to reduce my ownership from 60% to 33%. When I refused, Dad started a competing business, Mitchell Family Consulting, using my clients, my relationships, my reputation. I showed the incorporation documents for Mitchell Family Consulting, filed while my father was still my partner. Dad created a competing business while still my partner. Poached my clients, destroyed my company, then never offered me a position in the business built on my work. Derek's face went white, the room was silent. So when you brag about running the family business, Derek, remember, I founded it. Dad stole it. You're managing a company built on my stolen work. I turned to the full room. My father, he helped with my house down payment. Let me show you the purchase documents. I projected the closing statement from 2019. Purchase price, $285,000. Down payment, $57,000. Buyer, Jessica Mitchell. Source of down payment funds, my business earnings, my savings. I zoomed in on the seller contributions line. $0 from Robert and Linda Mitchell. $0 from my parents, but they've been taking credit for helping me buy a house for 5 years. My mother was crying. My father sat frozen. Now, let me tell you what I've actually been doing the past few years. The years my parents told you I was struggling. Next slide, J. Mitchell Consulting logo. In 2020, after my father destroyed my first business, I started over. J. Mitchell Consulting. Digital transformation, consulting for mid-size companies. Revenue slide. Year 1, $143,000. Year 2, $287,000. Year 3, $453,000. Year 4, $641,000. This year, projected $890,000 in revenue. The room erupted, people gasping, murmuring, shocked. Profit this year, approximately $680,000. My personal income. More gasps. I paid off all $208,000 in student loans in 2022. Paid off my $228,000 mortgage in 2023. Own my house free and clear. Have approximately $2.17 million in net worth. I let that sink in. At age 32, I'm likely the wealthiest person in this room. Built entirely by myself. Despite my parents sabotaging me, despite them taking credit for successes I achieved alone, despite them publicly humiliating me. I looked at my father. You said I don't have what it takes to succeed. You said I have limitations. You told 87 relatives I was a disappointment. I put down the microphone for a moment, let the silence sit, then picked it back up. The truth is, I've succeeded despite you, not because of you. Every dollar I have, I earned. Every achievement is mine. You contributed nothing. Less than nothing, you actively hindered me. I turned to the room. For 10 years, my parents have lied to this family about me, about my education, about my business, about my house, about my life. They've painted me as a failure to make themselves look like long-suffering, generous parents. I projected one final slide, a timeline. Here's the truth. 2010-2014, I borrowed $208,000 for college. My parents paid $0. They paid $94,000 for my siblings. 2014-2018, I built a successful business. Revenue $340,000. 2018-2020, my father stole my business, started a competing company. 2019, I bought a house with $57,000 I saved. My parents contributed $0. 2020-2024, I rebuilt. Current revenue $890,000. Net worth $2.17 million. Tonight, my father called me a disappointment in front of 87 people. I turned off the projector, looked at my father. I am not a disappointment, I am not struggling, I am not limited, I am successful, independently, completely, despite you. I handed the microphone back to Marcus. Walked back to my seat, the room was dead silent. Then my cousin Sarah started clapping, then others joined. Within seconds, standing ovation. My father sat with her head in her hands, my mother was sobbing. Derek stared at her plate. Cassie looked horrified. The aftermath asterisk. The reunion ended early. People left in small groups, whispering, shocked. Several relatives approached me. Uncle Tom, Jessica, I had no idea. Your parents, I can't believe they lied like that. I'm so sorry we believed them. Aunt Helen, I owe you an apology. All those times I pitied you, you were the successful one. I'm ashamed. Cousin Marcus, that took guts. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. My father tried to approach. Jessica, can we talk? No, you humiliated me in front of the entire family. You've been lying about me for 10 years. We're done. I didn't mean. You said I was a disappointment, that I don't have what it takes, that I have limitations, in front of 87 people. There's no walking that back. I was just trying to explain why you'd been distant. By lying. By claiming credit for things you never did. By taking credit for my house while saying I disappointed you. She had no answer. Derek tried next. Jessica, I didn't know about Dad starting the competing business while still your partner. That was wrong. You knew I founded the original company. You knew I was pushed out. You took a job managing a business stolen from me. You're complicit. I thought you'd agreed to the restructure. I refused the restructure. Dad poached the clients anyway, destroyed my business, and you benefited, you knew that. She walked away. Cassie approached crying. Jessica, I'm sorry. I didn't know about the college fund, about the loans. Mom and Dad told us they'd paid for your school. Did you ever ask me? No, I just believed them. Exactly. You believed their narrative without question, even when I tried to correct it. You sided with them. I'm sorry. Thank you, but sorry doesn't undo 10 years of believing I was a failure while you benefited from their favoritism. My mother tried last. Jessica, please, we can fix this as a family. There's nothing to fix. You made your choices, you lied. You took credit, you humiliated me. These are consequences. We're your parents. Parents who stole my business, who lied about paying for my education, who called me a disappointment in public. Being parents doesn't exempt you from consequences. I left, went home to my fully paid-off house. My successful business, my $2.17 million net worth, built despite them, without them, better for their absence than I ever would have been with their help. 2 weeks later, December 2024. The fallout has been extensive and satisfying. Family reactions, asterisk. Multiple relatives have reached out to apologize. 3 aunts-uncles who'd pitied me. 7 cousins who'd believed I was struggling. 2 grandparents, my mother's parents, who were horrified at what my parents had done. My father, he stole her daughter's company. My mother's reputation as a devoted parent is shattered. Everyone knows she lied about paying for my education. Derek is facing questions about her business. Did you know it was stolen from Jessica? She's lost respect among cousins. Business consequences, asterisk. 3 of my father's clients saw my reunion speech. A cousin recorded it and shared in the family group chat. They Googled me, found J. Mitchell Consulting, switched to me. My revenue is increasing because I've been more open about my business since the reunion. My parents' attempts to reconcile, asterisk. My father sent an email. Jessica, I'm sorry for what I said at the reunion. I was trying to explain our relationship to the family, but I phrased it poorly. Can we talk, Dad? My response. Dad, you didn't phrase it poorly. You lied deliberately. About paying for my college, about helping with my house, about the business origins. You called me a disappointment for having limitations while I make more money than you ever did. No, we can't talk. Jessica. She sent 2 more emails. I didn't respond. My mother called. Left a voicemail. Jessica, please, we made mistakes, but we're family. You embarrassed us in front of everyone. That was cruel. Can we please move past this? I didn't call back. She's right that I embarrassed them. But they embarrassed themselves. I just provided facts. Derek's situation, asterisk. My brother called 2 days ago. Jessica, I need to ask you something. Did Dad really start Mitchell Family Consulting while still your partner in Mitchell Digital Solutions? Yes, I have the incorporation documents. Filed 3 months before she officially left my company. That's fraud. That's illegal. Yes. Why didn't you sue her? Because she's our father, and I didn't want family litigation. I just wanted to move on and rebuild. I didn't know, I swear. She told me the company was her idea. That you'd been part of an earlier version, but it hadn't worked out. That's not what happened. She stole my clients and destroyed my company. Long pause. I'm thinking about leaving Mitchell Family Consulting, starting something new. On my own. That's your choice. But you should know, if you leave, Dad's business will probably collapse. Most of the client relationships are based on work I originally did. Without you running operations, she can't sustain it. Is that bad? No. It's consequences. Derek quit Mitchell Family Consulting last week. My father is scrambling to keep the business afloat. Cassie's situation, asterisk. My sister sent a long text. Jessica, I've been thinking a lot since the reunion. I'm horrified by what Mom and Dad did to you. The college fund lie. The business theft, the house credit taking, all of it. I want you to know I didn't know, but I should have questioned their narrative. I should have asked you directly. I should have noticed the inconsistencies. I've also been thinking about my own education. Mom and Dad paid $76,000 for my undergrad and another $28,000 for my master's. Total $104,000, while you paid $208,000 yourself. I benefited from favoritism. I didn't ask for it, but I accepted it without question. That was wrong. I'd like to make it right. I can't pay back the full $104,000 difference, but I have $30,000 in savings. I want to give it to you. Not as repayment, it's not enough, but as acknowledgement that I benefited from unfair treatment. I'm also going low contact with Mom and Dad until they genuinely apologize to you and make real amends. What they did is unforgivable. I hope someday we can rebuild a relationship as siblings, not based on their lies, but on truth. I'm sorry. Cassie. I was shocked. Cassie had always been the princess, the favorite. For her to recognize the favoritism and offer amends, I responded. Cassie. Thank you, this means more than you know. I don't need your $30,000, keep it. You didn't ask for the favoritism, you were just their daughter. They chose how to treat us differently, but I appreciate the offer, and the recognition. I'm open to rebuilding our relationship. Slowly, based on honesty. Let's start with coffee next week. Jessica. We're meeting for coffee tomorrow. My parents' current situation, asterisk. They're isolated. Derek left the family business. Cassie went low contact. I'm no contact. Extended family is distant. People are polite but cold. The lies destroyed their credibility. My father's business is struggling without Derek. My mother keeps sending care packages to my house. I return them unopened. They created this situation. They can live with it. What I've learned, asterisk. For 10 years, I tried to correct my parents' false narrative about me. Actually, I paid for college myself. Actually, I bought the house with my own money. Actually, I founded that business. No one believed me. They believed my parents, because narratives from authority figures' parents are more credible than self-defense from the accused me. So I stopped defending myself, let them believe the lies, and built success in silence. Then, when I had proof, documentation, bank statements, business records, I presented it all at once. 1 microphone, 2 minutes, total destruction of their narrative. The power of documentation, asterisk. I kept everything. Student loan statements, proving I paid for college. Emails from my father, proving she promised reimbursement. House closing documents, proving I paid the down payment. Business incorporation docs, proving I founded Mitchell Digital Solutions. Partnership agreements, showing my father's 40% equity. Mitchell Family Consulting Incorporation, showing it was filed while he was my partner. Text messages, showing the attempted forced restructure. Client contracts, showing the poaching. Without documentation, it's my word against my parents. With documentation, it's facts against lies. Facts win. The cost of speaking up, asterisk. I destroyed my relationship with my parents, probably permanently. I damaged Derek. He's recovering by distancing himself from our father. I embarrassed my extended family by revealing their pity was misplaced. Was it worth it? Yes, absolutely, because the alternative was continuing to live under a false narrative, continuing to be pitied, continuing to let them take credit for my success while calling me a failure. I chose truth, even though truth hurt. Where I am now, asterisk. I'm 32, single by choice. Living in a fully paid-off house. Running a business projecting $890,000 revenue this year. I have $2.17 million in net worth, built entirely by myself. I have no relationship with my parents. A rebuilding relationship with Cassie. A cautious relationship with Derek. I have the respect of my extended family, the ones who matter. And I have my self-respect, which matters most. The microphone moment, asterisk. People ask if I planned what I said at the reunion. Yes and no. I didn't expect my father to humiliate me publicly. But I'd been documenting everything for years, just in case. When she called me a disappointment in front of 87 people, I knew it was time. The microphone wasn't handed to me for revenge. It was handed to me for my turn to speak. I just chose to speak truth instead of polite fiction. And truth destroyed their lies completely. The real success, asterisk. My parents wanted me to feel like a failure. They needed me to be less than my siblings, less than them, but I succeeded anyway, despite them. My success wasn't in the $2.17 million, though that's nice. My success was in refusing to accept their narrative, refusing to be diminished, refusing to stay silent. When my father handed me the microphone, through humiliation, I took it, and I used it to reclaim my story. That's the real success. Not the money, not the business, not the house. But the moment I stood in front of 87 relatives and said, I am not what you think I am, let me show you who I really am. And then proved it, with receipts. My parents humiliated me at a family reunion. Then the microphone was handed to me, and I told the truth. The truth they'd been hiding for 10 years. The truth that destroyed their lives. The truth that set me free. And that truth, worth every uncomfortable moment. Worth every burned bridge, worth everything. Because I am not a disappointment. I am not limited. I am not struggling. I am successful. On my own terms, by my own effort. And now, finally, everyone knows it, including my parents, especially my parents, who can no longer pretend otherwise. That's justice. Simple, documentary, undeniable justice.